Several big stories to talk about today, including an update between the lawsuit between 2311 Racing and Front Row Motorsports and NASCAR. Stay tuned. How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Talkin NASCAR. I'm your host, Andrew, and today we have got a lot of Cup Series news to talk about today. So let's go ahead and not waste too much time with this intro. Corey LaJoie will be returning to the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series with his former team, Spire Motorsports. He will be making 9 starts in the number 07 truck for that team, and Spire Motorsports, clearly there's no more bad blood between those two, like there was, I guess, for that to begin with. But either way, Corey LaJoie, for a little bit of background, used to drive for Spire Motorsports from 2021 to about midway through 2024 until he was traded essentially to Rick Ware Racing for the final half of the season. And now Corey LaJoie is driving in a second Rick Ware car in the number 01 Stacking Pennies performance car. And he's made a couple other starts this season in that 01 car, but now he'll be making 9 more starts in the truck series for the 07 car, or truck, excuse me. So it'll be very exciting to see what Corey LaJoie can do. The most notable race I remember from him racing in the truck series was back in 2024, actually, driving the 7 truck for Spire at Daytona, the season opening race, and he was just pushing drivers out to big leagues. He did cause a couple wrecks, so that's something to watch out for. And at Michigan this weekend, hopefully he won't flip again. So I'm very excited to see what Corey LaJoie can do. Hopefully he can pick up his first career NASCAR National Series victory. So good luck to Corey LaJoie and that number 07 team. And Connor Zilich will also be making 2 more Cup Series starts in the number 87 Red Bull Chevrolet. He will be driving at Atlanta later this month and Watkins Glen International Raceway. Now, I actually have to correct myself here. It is going to be called Echo Park Speedway, which I'll talk about in a moment. So, Connor Zilich making 2 more Cup starts. It's an interesting move by Trackhouse, and people are confused on why he's going to be running Atlanta since it's a super speedway, and recently he had a back injury at Talladega. So, people are worried if they're not really concerned about his health, and to me and several others I've seen, it looks like Trackhouse is not concerned about Connor Zilich competing for the championship in the Xfinity Series. And I don't think they were very concerned with Shane Van Gisbergen winning the Xfinity Series championship and calling the team, or Junior Motorsports, the team Connor Zilich drives for, clearly isn't concerned about that. They're clearly more concerned about one of their actual drivers, like, I'm stumped on one of them, Carson Kvapil. Man, I don't know why it took me so long to come up with a name there, but Carson Kvapil, he's definitely a guy that Junior Motorsports will be putting a lot of effort into getting in the championship, I would say, going forward. But good luck to Connor Zilich at Watkins Glen at Atlanta. Watkins Glen, the site of his first career NASCAR National Series victory in the Xfinity Series. So I'm expecting a top 10 run for Connor Zilich. And at Circuit of the Americas earlier this season wasn't the best race for him. He had a penalty, and then he got caught up in a crash with his teammate Daniel Suarez. So I'm expecting Connor Zilich to run well at Watkins Glen. And I remember back in ARCA, he won that race. He did have to beat and bang his way there, but Connor Zilich has been historically very good at Watkins Glen, so I'm expecting some big things for Connor Zilich. But either way, good luck to Connor Zilich in that 87 group at Watkins Glen and Atlanta. Now, I did touch on this when I was talking about Connor Zilich and his 2 new Cup starts, but Atlanta Motor Speedway has been rebranded to Echo Park Speedway. Now, I understand this is part of a sponsorship deal between Speedway Motorsports Incorporated, owned by the Smith family, and Echo Park Automotive, also owned by the Smith family. So this is most likely just going to be a sponsorship thing for 4 years, I believe. I could be wrong. I have to find the official press release about this, but overall, honestly, it's whatever. I don't really care that much. Honestly, I'm not going to call it Echo Park Speedway. I might call it Echo Park Speedway for namesake and overall just to get it right. But I may just call it Atlanta Motor Speedway offhand because that's what I've known it as my whole life. And recently, since it's 2022, when I started watching NASCAR, it's been Atlanta Super Speedway because they transformed that race track into a super speedway with its high banking and high speeds. So, either way, just want to talk about that. Echo Park Speedway is in, Atlanta Motor Speedway is out. All right, well, now I've knocked out 3 out of the 7 stories I want to cover today. So I said I had a lot, so we got to keep it moving here. Now, big news for a 4th manufacturer coming up. Ram trucks have been leaked to the internet. Recently on YouTube, it was spotted on a YouTube channel. I forget the name of the YouTube channel. I'm sorry, everybody. Not accurate information. But people were discussing the new Ram Hemi, and in the background, they saw what looked like to be a 2025 NASCAR Ram truck. Now, back during the Daytona weekend, first week of the series, a official document was handed to NASCAR during the Truck Series race about Dodge/Ram possibly entering the Truck Series for 2025. And down the line, maybe 2027, we would see Dodge return to the Upper Series behind Ram entering the Truck Series. So, very exciting news. And then just today, there was another photo leaked on Twitter of a NASCAR truck which had the Ram branding on it on stage at Michigan International Raceway, which guess where everybody's racing at this weekend in NASCAR? Michigan. And where is the biggest hub for auto production, I should say? Michigan. So people are speculating, is this going to be the time Ram and NASCAR come out and say, hey, we got a new manufacturer, we're adding the 4th one for 2025? Yeah, it's most likely going to happen because Ram does have a press release or thingy scheduled for Sunday. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to be staying tuned for that as well. So Ram entering the Truck Series with Dodge not too far behind it. It's very exciting, and NASCAR's been talking about adding a 4th manufacturer for so many years, and people are saying it's no longer a figment of Steve Phelps' imagination because he's been talking about it for so long. So very happy to hear that Ram is going to be entering the Truck Series with Dodge maybe not coming too far behind it. So as a fan, it's huge for me to hear that. And the last time we had a new manufacturer was Toyota back in the late 2000s, early 2010s. So very excited to see that Ram is coming back, or Dodge, I guess. Ram's part of Dodge? Yeah. Yeah. So Dodge and Ram are entering the sport. Dodge may be returning very soon. So very exciting to see nonetheless. Now I'm going to be giving here a little bit of an update on a previous story I covered, which is the whole Jim France wanting to enter a cup car into the Sonoma race kind of debacle. So the racer has since learned from this amid the speculation as to his reason that the venture was driven by France's love of racing. So this is per the racer. And Jim France, the son of Bill France Sr., who founded the sport and has been the CEO of NASCAR since 2018, has been praised for his racer mentality. And it's very obvious, and he's been very involved in IMSA. The whole France family has been involved in NASCAR for so many years. And honestly, this makes sense. And I'm just looking at this report live from the racer on jski.com, if you're wondering where to find this little piece of information. And I'm looking at this as well. It's also why he didn't go through with these plans because of course, conflict of interest, as well as the ongoing backlash between 2311 Racing and Front Row Motorsports. So I guess he just didn't want to go through all that like controversy. Maybe if his car wrecked out, the 23 or the 35 battling for 37th place, I don't know, like yeah, I can't imagine the amount of backlash that would be, like Jim France being on the pit box. Hey, go wreck the 35 for 2311 Racing so I can prove a point. I can't imagine that would be something Jim France would do, but I can understand why he would want to pull out of that and why there's so much backlash and why there would be so much backlash if that were to happen, if he wrecked a 2311 Racing or Front Row car. So I'm happy that Jim France is not going through with this. I would like to see this happen, though, because IMSA is obviously a sister series to NASCAR, and the France family has a team in IMSA. So I don't see a reason why he shouldn't be in there. I mean, Roger Penske owns IndyCar and he has his own team in the IndyCar series. So, I mean, why shouldn't Jim France not enter his own Cup car eventually? So, and according to Athletic, there is no telling whether France would look to enter a race in the future, but it would be wise to say it's off the table for right now. So definitely, definitely a little sad to see there. But I'm hoping that eventually, maybe not in like another year or two, once like all this lawsuit drama is blown over, maybe Jim France will enter a cup car. And with all the new charter stuff and all the lawsuit stuff in 2311 Racing and Front Row Motorsports maybe losing a charter, I mean, we could see the France family racing team enter full time in NASCAR. Anyway, just want to update you guys on that a little bit. I thought it'd be important because when I talked about it last, there was a lot of holes in the original report I gave there. So just want to give you a little bit of an update on that story. Now, I just talked about the lawsuit between NASCAR and the two teams, 2311 Racing and Front Row Motorsports. We got a humongous piece of new information about the lawsuit. So, the U.S. Fourth, or hold on, I gotta get this right. Hold on. A three-judge panel from the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals vacated the preliminary injunction order that allowed 2311 Racing and Front Row Motorsports to compete as charter teams for the 2025 season. And so they will no longer receive the financial benefits as chartered teams. Now, what does that mean? Starting at Atlanta, the Atlanta race weekend, the teams, 2311 Racing and Front Row Motorsports, will not be entered as chartered teams, which has no implications on their points as long as they have declared full-time racing. Their championship homes are still eligible. And since they could win a race theoretically before the playoffs begin, they will be locked in the playoffs since they have declared full-time eligibility, and everything in the owner's points will still be the same. And the only thing that will take a hit is the financial benefits, as mentioned in there. So that means they will have to pay a lot of money to enter races as open teams, and the payout from the races will be significantly lower compared to those that the charter teams will have. So that is humongous news. And I want to read a quote from Jeffrey Kessler, the team's district attorney, or attorney, I should say, not district attorney. We are disappointed by today's ruling by the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals and are reviewing the decision to determine our next steps. This ruling is based on a very narrow consideration of whether a release of claims in the charter agreements is anti-competitive and does not impact our chances of winning a trial scheduled for December 1st. End quote. So clearly, Kessler is not concerned about the future implications this overturning will have. And now the teams do have a 14-day window to appeal this appeal, and that would be on June 19th that this hearing would be heard. Now, and then in 7 days after that, the effects of this appeal would go into effect. So that means the Atlanta weekend, they would be forced to enter as open teams. So, humongous news here. And I want to refer back to an older report from a couple months ago when this injunction was granted and another hearing is heard before the decision was made today about the teams not wanting to have their cake and eat it too. So that is referring to they don't want to race under, or they don't want to race under this new charter agreement because all of the encroachment and anti-competitive stuff that they allege NASCAR is going through with this new charter agreement, and yet still receive the benefits of the financial benefits, I should say. And that's just not going to work out here. So I like that the Court of Appeals did go this way. And at the time, admittedly, I was not really kind of understanding the wording. Again, I'm no legal expert. I'm a teenager. Now I'm gonna be starting middle school in a couple months. So I really don't know very much about the court of law. I do have a friend that would know more. Anyway, I'm very glad now that I've come to that realization about this. So we'll see if the teams do appeal. Again, they do have a 14-day window to consider this. and Jeffrey Kessler made no implications if the teams were. So we'll see. And I do believe now, I hope, that this means that no more teams will be dragged into this and no other sports because the teams have alleged that they have tried to get F1 into this conversation as well as other teams, but they've both said just leave us alone in this. So I'm grateful that there will be no other parties in this. So humongous news for the team or for the teams and NASCAR. Big win for NASCAR, I would say, so they don't have to dish out more cash, I guess, and maybe give it to other teams more deservedly. Now, I want to touch about this again. The big risk for the teams now, they will have to qualify into races as open teams, which means if they do not beat out other open teams, they could potentially have DNQs for races. Now, that will all count towards the point standings. So, if Tyler Reddick in the 45 does not qualify for a race, he could have a humongous hit in points. It would be essentially like he wrecked out on lap one. So, that's the risk that the teams are going to be running if they choose not to appeal and maybe don't win. And honestly, I don't really see more than 40 cars showing up to races from now on. I mean, I still think they beat out the 44 car or the 66 car or the 50 car or maybe the 67 car, maybe their fellow teammate of Corey Heim. So I'm not concerned about that part. If maybe something fluky happens, like they crash out in qualifying, that will be a different story. They will miss their race. So big news and big update on the lawsuit currently going on. So I also want to talk about some teams that could maybe be implicated in this. Both teams have acquired two of the Stewart Haas Racing charters, which, for a little bit of background knowledge, Stewart Haas Racing, which was co-owned by Tony Stewart, NASCAR legend and now current drag racer, and current NASCAR team owner Gene Haas, who now owns Haas, the Haas factory team. They basically just shut down the whole team. Tony Stewart bowed out of the sport. Gene Haas kept one charter, so three charters were sold. One was sold to 2311 Racing. The other was sold to Front Row Motorsports. And then I believe the other charter was sold to Trackhouse. I just had to look. I had to look that up real quick. So all three charters are gone, but the fourth is still held onto by Gene Haas. So now, could Stewart Haas Racing receive those charters back because the teams may not have those charters going into next year? And the two other charters that the teams have, which are the four other charters, I should say, those will most likely go back to NASCAR. And what will NASCAR do with them? They could sell them to other teams. They could use one of them to enter their own full-time team, like I just talked about. So there's a lot of things that could happen. And I know some people said that Trackhouse Racing could be the big domino that decides the silly season. And honestly, I don't think the silly season is going to be as crazy as last year's with Stewart Haas Racing shutting down, of course. But I think this lawsuit's going to have a humongous impact. And I think we're not really going to have a firm. I think silly season's going to go on a lot longer than till the end of the season, because usually the end of the season, most of the drivers have found a new home for next season. But with the trial scheduled for December 1st, I'm not sure. I think we could see silly season stretching into January and teams buying up the charters, because we're not going to know if 2311 Racing or Front Row Motorsports are going to have these charters next year until December 1st. So a lot can happen from now until then. And really, the only big moves are going to come from teams that know they have a guaranteed spot next season and teams that are not in the lawsuit. But 2311 Racing and Front Row Motorsports have a lot of charters. They have 6 total combined. So whatever happens on December 1st will cause a lot of chaos. And now there's also the potential that the teams and NASCAR do come together and work towards a settlement, I guess. But I really don't see that happening anymore now that the injunction is over. And clearly the teams do not want to enter the sport with the new charter agreement. So there's there's a lot of stuff that can happen, and it won't happen until after December 1st. Now, some teams that could maybe pounce on this if the teams were to lose their charters. We could see Stewart Haas Racing. Maybe Tony Stewart's going to look to keep selling him. Like, he doesn't want to be in NASCAR anymore. He really doesn't. He's so focused on drag racing. I mean, he worked for Fox on the IndyCar coverage, so that's telling me how much he doesn't want to be involved with NASCAR. Haas factory team. Could we see Gene Haas like scoop up those charters and become a 3-car team, or like uh, there's a lot of things can happen. We could see RFK, who currently is in a whole debacle with the Rick Ware lawsuit against Legacy Motor Club. Could they buy a charter so they don't have to lease another charter? Could Rick Ware buy a charter and just sell another one to RFK so they're out of that debacle? Could they buy both of them and then sell one to Legacy Motor Club? Could Legacy Motor Club buy one of those and just, I don't know, use it for that third car like they want to? Could Junior Motorsports and Dale Earnhardt Jr. make their return to the Cup Series? Like, there's a lot of things that could happen, and I just was talking about how maybe crazy this silly season could be after December 1st. That was all the radical stuff that could happen. So I won't expect Junior Motorsports to jump up to the Cup Series. Dale Earnhardt Jr. has said that if he were to jump up to the Cup Series, he would have to be with another team as like a secondary investor. So again, a lot of stuff is going to happen after December 1st, and this appeal really is going to have a big impact besides the teams not having financial benefits. And Michael Jordan, Curtis Polk, and Bob Jenkins, they have the money to go through with this and continue to run full time, but I mean, do they want to do that? That's a big question, and that's something that the team should be concerned about. Denny Hamlin can't do that. I know Denny Hamlin can't do that for sure. So this is this is going to be big for the rest of the year, and this is a huge win for NASCAR and a huge loss for the teams. But we do have to wait until December 1st. Unfortunately, I wish the trial would be moved up a lot quicker. So this is going to have a big implication on silly season, and a lot of people aren't realizing that. And we'll just have to wait and see until December 1st. I know I keep saying that, but we got to keep waiting until December 1st to see whether silly season will be as crazy as last year's or, frankly, just less crazy. And honestly, the craziness may not end with this lawsuit. I mean, if the teams win, all hell can break loose between NASCAR and the teams, and when a new charter agreement maybe, like, oh boy, this is going to be this is going to continue to be very, very messy, and it's honestly going to get even more messy going on for months and months and months, stretching into the new year. We could see a new charter agreement like be signed next year, and this current one they're under may only last for a year and a half or like 2 years. So yeah, a lot of stuff is happening right now, and this appeal is continuing to prove signs of that. So we got to stay tuned. I'm going to be continuing to give updates on this for the next few months. And yeah, so we got a long way to go with this lawsuit. So stay tuned for more on the lawsuit. Now, I do want to end on a slightly brighter note, I guess. So I want to talk about my own silly season predictions. Now, we've obviously seen Kyle Busch say he's coming back to the A car for one more season. So I want to give a little bit of updates on mine. And again, I have the right to change this how I want and based on rumors and real-time information. So let's get into it. I expect Daniel Suarez to remain in the 99 car. And the reason why, Connor Zilic, I think, just needs to have another year. And right now, Trackhouse is not where they need to be, but overall, ECR is not either. So it's not just a Trackhouse problem. It's like a whole ECR engines clients thing. So honestly, Trackhouse may just want to roll with this lineup again. And with Dodge maybe returning in 2027, could we see a possible manufacturer switch? I mean, there's a possibility there, I would say. The other one I have is Ty Dillon remains in the 10. I did originally have Suarez going to the 10 car and then Ty Dillon going down to the lower series. But right now, with how I have Trackhouse keeping their same lineup, it seems like a logical decision that Calling should keep Ty Dillon. And no disrespect to Ty Dillon, he's not the best driver in the world. He's not going to win a race consistently. He's not going to be a race winning contender. But the thing about Ty Dillon is he will not tear up your race car. and he will bring a lot of sponsorship funding, which is a lot of teams do need now. So, I mean, you can't say no to a driver that doesn't wreck your cars and doesn't and brings a lot of money. And yeah, you can leave the bad finishes for the money, and the money will make up for it. So there's that. I have Jimmy Johnson retiring instead of staying in the '84 car, and that's because I have Legacy Motor Club winning the lawsuit against Rick Ware Racing. I just look at this and saying it's so dumb to think that Rick Ware is didn't have this charter agreement for or this new swap for 2027 because like you're having it swapped in 2027 that just doesn't make sense. Like maybe Rick Ware wants to get out of the way of any possible like overlay between RFK them and swapping with Legacy Motor Club. Like maybe he wanted to stay in the series another year, but honestly like it just doesn't make sense to me why he wants to delay the charter swap for another year. It just doesn't make sense to me. So yeah, Legacy Motor Club wins the lawsuit, and that means Chandler Smith will move up full time into the '84 car. And Chandler Smith right now running full time in the Truck Series for Front Row Motorsports, but he does have history with Toyota, and he was in Joe Gibbs Racing in 2024. So I think it makes sense that Chandler Smith should come up to the Cup Series. Plus, he has experience, and Legacy Motor Club can cover the sponsorship issues that he has apparently, because apparently, like the only reason he was out of that Joe Gibbs car because he didn't have enough sponsorship to compete with Taylor Gray and William Sawalich. So there's that. And then looking at everything else, Riley Herbst. If this is a big thing, if the teams win the lawsuit, Riley Herbst will probably remain in the 35 car. It's been reported that he has a contract for next year, so Corey Heim will have to wait in the Truck Series for a little bit longer. He still probably will make Cup starts and Xfinity Series starts, but he's going to have to wait until 2027 for that full-time season. And then for some other teams, if if this all comes true with like Rick Ware Racing losing the lawsuit, they will have one part-time team that will be the 15. It will have Sheldon Creed, Sam Mayer, Harrison Burton, and Cam Waters all joining for part-time schedules. And when Cam Waters is in the car, it will essentially become a fourth part-time RFK car. Rick Ware operates on the campus of RFK, and they have an alliance with RFK. So it just makes sense, I guess, that Cam Waters, if he does re-enter the sport, he'll probably be in that number 15 car, and it'll kind of be out of the shop. It'll be like a RFK prepared car. So, looking at everything else, Christian Eckes and Daniel Dye will join Calling Racing in the Cup program for part-time schedules in the 13, and then Lang Riggs will make select Cup starts in the 36 car if the lawsuit goes in the team's way and they keep their charters. Otherwise, all the stuff I just talked about with 2311 Racing and the team and Front Row Motorsports will be out the window. Now, if the lawsuit does go towards the teams, we have a huge conversation. Do the teams continue to be part-time, or are they just going to be done? What does this mean for Denny Hamlin and like his racing career going forward? Things are going to happen. I really did not want to go back to the lawsuit for a second, but I mean, I just did. So either way, there's the episode. A lot of stuff we had to cover. I'm honestly surprised I got through 7 topics in under 30 minutes right now of recording. So I'm happy about that. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I know that was a lot. Let me know in the comments if you guys want me to break it up more, maybe do more episodes over the course of a week and have less stories and give more information. Let me know what you guys want to hear down in the comments. If you have any questions, again, you got to leave your comments so I can answer your questions about NASCAR, because I'm an almanac about NASCAR for the beginners, I guess. So thank you guys for listening. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.